This is Hegemony by Hegemonic Project, played 2 to 4 players, and we have been waiting to play it. I mean, we've played it now, but we were waiting for it to play it for such a long time, and today we are going to share you our review. By the way, I'm Stella and this is Tarrant from Meeple University. We're going to start with overview before our review right now. So this game plays 4 asymmetric players where you are basically running a country. One person is the government, the other one's middle class, and then working class, and then capitalist. So there are four different factions or asymmetric powers in this game.
Yeah, so you can think of this game as a big socio-economic simulator in some ways. As we say, there's 4 different roles, all playing quite asymmetrically, and they all form their part in the economic machine. You have specific roles at different player counts, so it's just the working class against the capitalist class in a 2-player game. You'll add the middle class at 3 players, and you'll add the state at 4 players. And that is the mode we've played. So that's all we can only review that. It would play quite differently, particularly without the state, I would suspect. But yeah, we'll review this at 4 players.
Feel like 4 players are the best one anyway, without actually playing 2 or 3 players, because you kind of like want every role to come alive.
You want everything. If you've got a big asymmetrical game where everything is interlocking, you've got to play it with all of them, surely. In any case, so everyone is trying to do exactly what you would expect when running a country. So you've got the capitalist class. They are trying to, they've got a private sector here. They're going to build companies. They're going to staff them with various employees who could be working class or middle class. They're going to run those companies, pay wages, and then try to sell the goods that they make for the highest profit. So they can sell them to the rest of the country. They could try to export them to the foreign markets. And there's other things they can do. They can try to make business deals to even import things more cheaply instead of having to try to produce them themselves. So very much a capitalist machine. Primary way of scoring points. At the end of each of the 5 rounds, revenue will be taxed. I'm not sure how much it is, but it'll be taxed to some extent. State gets the tax, of course. And you'll count up how much capital you've got, advance your marker, and score points based on advancement and where you finish up. So earning lots of money is the key for the capitalist class. They can invest in more companies, more business deals, more storage, all sorts of things like that. The working class, on the other hand, represented by these little meeples with the helmets, these guys, they work for the man to bring home the pay. Ultimately, what the working class is trying to do is increase prosperity. So they'll go and work, they'll get the wages, they'll have to spend a certain amount of wages to eat and survive, and then anything else that they've got for luxuries, healthcare, and education can be used to increase prosperity. So they'll purchase those types of goods, consume them based on their population, which is going to go up a lot through the game. You know, as you get healthcare, you get more population, and as there's immigration, you'll get more population. Means you've got to spend more resources. But every time you increase prosperity, you'll move 1 step up on here and score the points based on the step you've just entered. So this is really going to escalate as the game goes on. You know, if you get from 0 to 10, that's 55 points. And this will move down 1 step each round as well. So the higher you can get up, the more you'll repeat those points and really score big. Working class also can go on strike if wages are too low, because wages and prices are something that the business owners can always set during the game. So they can go on strike for more wages. They can have demonstrations, which if the other players aren't making enough companies for the population, they can have a demonstration and then smash the other players with a loss of victory points if they don't fix the situation.
Yeah.
So that's what the working class is doing. Middle class is part way in between. So scores points the same way as the working class by increasing prosperity. But the prosperity track is not as profitable. So it starts to slow down above 5 in terms of the number of points it gives. And the working class player has to move down 2 steps each round instead of 1. Sorry, the middle class moves down 2 steps each round instead of 1 like the working class. but the middle class has a better capability to generate money by running small businesses. So these are all little small businesses. They'll be run by middle class employees. They don't have to pay their own wages. They're just hard-working business owners. They can work extra shifts to produce things more quickly. So they build all of this up, and so that's what they're trying to do. Finally, you've got the state. And when the state is in the game, the state gets all the money through taxes. So whenever anyone gets taxed, I mentioned the capitalist gets taxed. There's also income tax on the other classes. What the state is trying to do is keep everyone happy. This is one of those great equalizing roles. So anytime the state does something that helps another player, and that includes if another player does something which represents the state helping them, which I'll sort of explain in a bit, the legitimacy of the state with that class is going to go up. And this can be done just by buying them off with influence or doing actions that give them benefits. At the end of each round, the state is going to score points based on the lower two of the three legitimacies. So it's in the state's interest to keep everyone kind of equally happy, and the state has the power to do that. The state runs the public sector, so the state has companies as well, and has can set the price of welfare. So education and healthcare can be cheaper or more expensive. If it's cheaper, taxes go up, so nothing really comes for free. And the state also, in addition to keeping everyone happy, is trying to deal with various governmental issues. It's essentially two events. You can think of them as being like, if this were a co-op game, they'd be the things you were trying to target. There'll be two of these events every round, and the state has to work out how to resolve it. They could, in this case, it's provide money to the classes, provide welfare essentially to the classes. If they do, they could do a little bit to get some points, they could do a lot to get some legitimacy, or they could do nothing and lose legitimacy. And it takes actions to fulfill these, so it's a big decision of the state. So that's a lot of things going on. In addition to so how exactly does the game play? Everyone will have a hand of 7 cards. Let me show one of the other classes actually. 7. Hand of 7 cards, and then there'll be 5 turns per round, and every turn you will play 1 card. And you can ignore the card completely and just do one of your basic actions, which you'll usually do, or you can resolve the effect on the card, as well as do a free action. Now, sometimes you'll take an action that represents the state doing something to help you, and that's where you give the state legitimacy just by playing these cards.
Points, basically.
Yes. A major element of the game is the policy boards. There are 7 different policies, and these impact various elements of the game. The labour market, for example, determines what is the minimum set for wages. The welfare ones determine the price of state-run businesses. The taxation one determines how high or low taxes are going to be. Immigration determines how quickly the middle and working class is going to increase population, which can be good or bad for them, depending on how things work. Foreign trade impacts tariffs for imported goods and so on. As an action, you can choose to propose a bill to change what's going on.
The vote.
And often through the game, there's going to be elections. So it's done in 2 parts. First, you would draw 5 coloured cubes from the bag, and these will be assigned to whether you're for the law or against it. And then everyone simultaneously gets to do a blind bid of purple influence cubes to influence the result. As you propose bills that work, you're going to get points as well. So there's points in it, as well as
the results,
making the results match what you're trying to do. At the end of the game, in addition to the points you've been gathering through the game, there are points for having the policies in the right spot. So if you're the working class, you want all the socialist policies. If you're the capitalist class, you want all the neoliberal policies. And the state has cards that will change throughout the game, where they just want to They just want to spread things out and match the agenda and gather points slowly. So that is the bulk of Hegemony. That is essentially how it works. It's 5 rounds. As I said, it's really a socioeconomic simulator. What do you think?
It's a bit of a mouthful. I'm sorry about that. I mean, we can't really help it. Tarrant has done a really great job in in learning it. So it took him probably 2 weeks to learn all the roles, put the notes, and explain to every single person how it works, and just get everyone happy. Everyone's learning as well and playing. 4 players, asymmetric roles. So yes, there are a lot going on, as you can see here, as Tarrant explained. But as you go, as you play, it started to make sense. Okay, so the state wants to, as you say, is the equalizer. There's always like another game like Crescent Moon where somebody is the equalizer. You want to try to get everyone in the similar roles or similar scoring, and hopefully you come ahead.
Yeah, that was always the Mershid in
Crescent Moon. Yeah, check that out if you like that sort of thing. And there's always the 3 classes with different roles which the state needs to know what is going on in there. I mean, you really need to know what others doing anyway in this game. So I feel like the first game, maybe it kind of like learning how things are going, and then the second game, okay, this is what's going on. It's a really fun game. I think if you play with the right friends, with the right people, it's even more funner. Hang on, that's not even the word. Even more fun, because you kind of like trying to screw each other's effort to try to get points.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's a very ambitious game. The higher level of asymmetry, there's a lot to learn, but it does make sense. It all does. Very quickly makes sense if you've got a basic economic understanding of how the world is going to work. It makes a lot of sense. The working class is trying to get money, get prosperous, and can strike if the
like demonstration as well. That was hilarious. Yep.
And the way the state is trying to manage their own affairs and keep everyone going. It all comes together well. There's just a lot of things to learn. I think it was a lot of fun.
I think so too. And I think you just have to prepare the learning curve there. All right, first game is the learning game, or at least half a game, and then play again. And I know that the designer has research on this topic, socioeconomic topic, deeply when they trying to design this game. And it is, as Tarrant said, it is really true. It feels like running country. It's like a whole country. I don't know. Is it Australian? In Australia, it says running Australia. This is how you run Australia.
Yeah, there's a lot into. I like that the state is constantly gaining and spending money as well. The taxation impacts how much the state is capable of doing.
Yeah.
The state could let taxes get low and import duties get low and welfare get high, but then that's going to wreck the state's game as well, because if you can get to the point where the company goes bankrupt and the IMF comes in and intervenes. It's good. It's got all these things going on.
Yeah, just invest a little bit more time for 4 players. As I say, we haven't played 2 players or 3 players, so can't really say much about that. But I just feel like I don't feel like playing 2 3 players. So if possible, 4 players, because then it's just more fun, I reckon. From what I can see, it's like, what happened if there's no state? That's not going to be as fun. But I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. It is also fun working class. Okay, for example, there's some of them in the unemployed areas. They're all unemployed. There needs to be more businesses open, and then they went on demonstration. That was hilarious. And that's working class, for example. And the middle class, it was like, we've got these businesses, we need to then open up more businesses and capitalists as well, so that we can prevent these demonstrations. And then you as a state as well at one point, what did you do? Nothing. You can open up business as well. You can open up government sector business.
Yeah, you need to change fiscal policy for the state to open more as well.
Yeah.
And it comes at a cost.
Yeah, it comes alive like that, where everyone just like making this country running, and then where the state's trying to balance it. It's really quite fun.
One of the things we mentioned before the balancing role and the comparison with something like the Merchant from Crescent Moon. That role where one player benefits from tearing others down and keeping everyone even. Because that's always it's always interesting when a game has that role, I find. I like that it's there because I like when you've got that choice to tear somebody else down for the common good.
Yeah.
Without harming your game. Anytime you've got a 4-player tile drafting game, you could take the one that the next player wants, but it means you're having a 0 turn while the 2 players before you are having a normal turn. So it kind of damns it. But when you got this role, that always keeps things even. It also, I think, can mean that I described it as a simulation before. It can be more like a simulation because this can be a very king-making sort of role.
That's
and
true.
Particularly in a game like this where everyone's scoring points at different rates, it can be difficult to tell exactly who's winning. So maybe maybe that is going to frustrate players. I think I enjoyed it, and I do see it as more. It's a little more on the simulation side than the truly competitive game side for that reason.
Yeah, when you say.
But I had a very good time playing it.
Yeah, when you're saying that the capitalists usually tends to get their scores later down the track, which what you said again, who knows who's going to get on top, and you kind of like get your points throughout, and you can also see on the player boards how much point you're going to get. The working class and the middle class looking at what's the prosperity as well, and
these guys even get most of their points during the actions phase. These guys get most of their points in the end phase, in the scoring phase.
Yeah.
And then end of game points, there's pretty much none for the state, but there's a lot for the others.
So I'm really hoping that you can just invest a little time. If you like that sort of thing, if you like, then there's voting as well, which trying to convince the other player to, oh no, let's just vote on this because this is and this and this is going to benefit you the most. So invest on this game, learn and get 4 people together, and then hopefully you enjoy Hegemony.
Yep. There is a fair bit of voting, so you do need to be good at running that efficiently. But it is good voting. It has a good. It's very important for the game that those policies are going to change because it really does switch things up. There are a couple of expansions. We've got the Crisis and Control expansion. Add some extra cards. Add some end game scoring objective cards as well. So it puts a little bit more secret information into the game and a bit more of that. Haha, I've achieved this at the end.
Yeah.
That's quite good.
So if you like that sort of feeling.
Yeah. And then there's this little mini expansion as well, historical events. Basically, that just changes the government's event cards into things that are based on and linked to real events for the history buffs.
And there's also Automa in this one, the solo mode for those who likes it. We haven't played the solo mode yet.
Solo mode or automating one of the roles.
One.
So if you wanted to, if you wanted to do any combination, you could use the Automa to make that work.
We'll just quickly show you the player card. So this is the yellow or the middle class one. So there's things that let you get the state to pay to open your shop. That's really fun. It's like
it's basically a small business grant.
Yeah.
This one is for the working class.
It's really thematic.
By education from the state, paying half the cost. So again, it's a state scholarship. You can propose bills more quickly. A lot of them are making your actions a little bit more powerful. The working class can run a cooperative farm as well, cut the corporate out of the food business altogether and make their own food.
I do like the icons and I wouldn't say I think it's very functional. It's efficient. I like the artwork on the cards, and this one here, because there's a lot. Once you get to know what's going on, it's easy to see. There's no design like sacrificing the playability for the design. So it's all good.
It's a big black background with places for businesses.
Yeah, and that's it, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Every single views that, every single videos that you watch, that you like, and comments really help us. And even on Instagram, I'm also on Instagram. And let us know if you're there. Let us know if you've seen it, if you backed it. Let us know that you're there. I want to hear from you. I love it when I hear from you. And hopefully we'll see you in our next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.